Greetings, I'm Luna Ravenwolf and welcome to my channel. If you have come across this video today, first of all, thank you. And hopefully today you will get a message from some of these cards that I'll be pulling today in an open reading. Now the idea is that you can choose from the three piles in front of me as to what card you're most drawn to, and as I do each reading, the message should unfold that aligns with your life and what's going on for you at the moment, and hopefully you can gain some insight and into your life moving forward. Alright, let's get into it. So we're going to start today with pile number 1. Put those ones aside for now. And just to go into this a little bit more too before I start in pile number 1. So at the moment it's Mermaid, which is an art competition online where we celebrate all things mermaid and people submit their drawings. And I'm very much connected with ocean energy myself. I'm very connected with mermaid energy myself. And so I wanted to create these readings during this month of May that are very centered around the water and the energy of water and mermaids in particular as well. So that's where those messages will be coming from today. And the cards on the top of the deck are First Nations, Australian First Nations artist cards. Find the artist, Laura Bowen, and I found that they are very, very beautiful. Very beautiful cards to work with. So hopefully you will enjoy the messages coming forward today, and let's get going. So the first pile today, appearances with the dugong. This particular energy as we start off is speaking of how we view ourselves, how we view the people around us, how we feel seen, and what we do for our bodies, what we do for our own self-care, what we do for that connection in that. So we're just going to lay the rest of these cards down. The following message should coincide, and as you can see there's a lot of mermaids here as well today. And we're also going to be working with some tarot cards. This is the Psychic Tarot, one of my favourite decks to work with, and I think I'm going to run out of room here, so I'm just going to push that crystal back a bit. And we'll pull, I'm feeling 5 cards. I'm feeling 5 cards from this deck, so we'll see what those 5 cards give to us. And I was right, I am running a little bit out of room here, but hopefully it will all manage to stay in frame for the rest of the reading. Okay, so appearances, and we've got sacrifice, financial and material changes. I'm actually going to fold those ones over as well. Love begins, recognition and reward, discontent and boredom. Okay, so pulling through these energies from these cards straight away, I'm seeing that there has been a lack of recognition in your life for the sacrifices that you've made in the past. You've very much been pushing forward with some things that might not have worked out the way you hoped they would. But all of these things, all of these sacrifices, they've been worth it. They've been absolutely worth it to get you to where you're going to be going. Now, I really get a feeling from this energy that this is something that's happening for you at the moment, something that is pulling on you a bit, that need for change, that need for excitement even. And I feel like even that some of this energy might be around having energy trapped in our bodies from past traumas, from past experiences, you know, that fight or flight response when, you know, everything in our life, it might not be great, but at least it's exciting. And then when we find ourselves in a space after we've done some healing work, after we've worked on ourselves for a bit, we find ourselves in this space of feeling bored, even borderline discontent, because it doesn't feel exciting. We're not getting that same rush as what we've gotten in the past when we've been in a situation, you know, mind you, working to pull ourselves away from that situation, but now that we're out of it, we find ourselves, you know, not feeling that excitement anymore. Everything seems to be going at a certain pace. Everything seems to be just moving at a one step in front of the other. And it's really, really important to recognize this in ourselves, because when we find ourselves in this space, you know, there are times where we do actually need to slow down. There are times that we do need to be less productive, and to recognize that we don't actually need to be productive all the time to actually achieve something. I feel like you're being told that it's time to pull back. It's time to, even to the degree of, let yourself be bored. Sometimes, and a lot of creatives often talk about this, the best inspiration comes from boredom. So maybe it might be a case of you actually need to let yourself be bored for a time in order to bring that excitement back in order to push yourself forward in that direction. Now, the interesting thing here is too, there's a bit of an energy here where it's all connected, but at the same time it's very separate as well. All of these things are connected to one another, but they are all also separate issues, separate places where you need to put your energy, where you need to put your focus for the time being. So now, for those of you watching this, for those of you who've picked number one, there's a very, very distinct energy that you've been waiting a long time for somebody to step forward, and waiting a really, really long time for that connection to happen in your life, to appear in your life, to be present in your life. And I say to you that you're looking, you know, the time frame coming up within the next 6 months is when that's going to start for you. You know, we can go by some of these numbers here, but again, as you can see, all the numbers are very different. None of the numbers are really kind of aligning in the sense that you've got your 8, you've got a 12, a 5, a 1, a 3, and a 4. And all of these are connected, but they're also very separate individual things within your life. It's like there's a lot of energy that's needing to be pulled together for you at the moment. There's energy that needs to, these things need to be dealt with separately, but they're all part of the one connected thing, because this affects that, affects this, affects that. And the sacrifice also feels a little bit separate in that the sacrifice is what's been, the sacrifice is what's been done, the sacrifice has already been taken. You've already given your pound of flesh for all of these things to start to come through. And so we can kind of leave that one in the past, and this is what we're looking at coming forward for you. These are the things that are going to change for you. And particularly with here, the financial material changes, there's a very strong energy around that says that a lot of the sacrifices has been to create that future with those financial issues, with that change in your financial stability. That's the word I'm looking for, stability. You've made a lot of sacrifices. You haven't gotten much out of this yet, but those things are coming, and those things are coming very soon. In fact, they're very much just around the corner. All this hard work, everything that you've sacrificed, everything pushed forward, is going to come to fruition. That hard work is going to pay off. You are going to start seeing the recognition and the reward for the effort. And there again, this energy feels here too like all this work's been done, all this pushing forward's been done, and that recognition, pardon me, just hasn't been there. So the message here is to not become disheartened, not become don't lose your sight of where you're going, because you've been doing all the right things. Even if you haven't been able to see it yet, you've been doing all the right things, and everything else is going to start to fall into place for you now. And I feel like this also, in relation to this energy here specifically, is that the appearances, rethinking about how you're presenting yourself in the world in regards to these things, either how you're presenting yourself at work. Does your attitude need a little bit of a rethink? Or the way you feel comfortable in your own skin, the things that you wear, the way you present yourself as a person, the way you express yourself. These are things that you can put your energy into now, that self-care. You've given the sacrifices, you've given the pound of flesh. This is now about the self-care, letting these things come to fruition. Because what a lot of people tend to forget when it comes to manifestation is it's when we actually stop trying to control the outcome that the manifestation actually comes through. So you don't need to give anymore, you don't need to do anymore. If you're a person, because I feel like there's quite a few who pick number one who are entrepreneurs, business owners, even spiritual business owners yourself. And it's not a case of you don't need to do anything anymore and it will tick over. You still need to be doing that day to day, but you don't need to be sacrificing as much anymore. You can start treating it like I guess for want of a better way of putting it, a normal 9 to 5. Because the things that you've sacrificed are now going to start paying off. All you need to worry about now is ticking things over, and keep walking in that direction. The discontentment and boredom shall pass. And I feel like this is going to have a big thing to do when it does arrive in your life. I feel like that's going to have a big thing to do with bringing that energy back, taking you out of that space of boredom and discontentment. Creativity. It's really time to explore that again, and I feel like this really connects with this appearances here, because your appearances, you're taking care of yourself, your self-care. Creativity is a way of releasing tension, releasing things that have built up inside of us, but also getting creative with realigning some of the things that you might want to do here, or realigning yourself with taking yourself out of that boredom, exploring new things, getting creative with what you want to learn about, what you want to discover, what you want to, what's the word I'm looking for? What you want to create in your life, how you want your life to look, who you are moving forward. These are the things that are really you're really being brought to your attention right now. In that, start thinking about how you want your life to look, how you want to create that life, because you have the ability to. It's just a matter of letting go of this idea of having to break your back, having to sacrifice so much to get to where you want to go, because there are always creative solutions around that as well. I feel like many of you who have chosen number one today might just be at the beginning of your journey of tapping into your own psychic abilities, of tapping into your own ability to see and have visions, maybe even read cards yourself. And one of the key things to that is to know thyself, self-examination, really understanding who you really are, and that takes going inward, that it's that need to go inward. These when we have visions, when we have connection to spirit, when we have psychic abilities, it doesn't come from an external force. It comes from within. It rises up from within, because it's within where we have that connection to the rest of the universe. And so it comes from inside of us, not outside of us. I often talk about the guides, and I often talk about those who connect with me and direct with me, but they don't feel like something external to me. They feel very internal, and so it's really to unlock these things for yourself. It's really about going inward and really seeing yourself truly, because that's when you can see the truth. When you are prepared to see yourself as you truly are, is when you will truly see the truth. And I believe also that it's worth, in the coming days and weeks especially, writing down your dreams, connecting with dreams, any visions, images, feelings that come through for you. Journal about them. This has got a really kind of either at the beginning of your journey or revisiting your journey in terms of your spirituality, in terms of psychic abilities for yourself. It's got a really kind of starting fresh vibe around it. So, and I feel like the starting fresh here is really, 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 really truthfully seeing yourself for the first time. And for a lot of people that can be incredibly scary, but even if it's not necessarily what we want to hear, it's what we need to hear, and it will make us a better person for acknowledging those things. The mermaid with the floating flowers. See, when I connect with these two energies here as well, it shows me that those of you who have chose number 1 today might not be seeing yourself as others see you. You might be looking upon yourself negatively, whereas really you've been a positive influence in the world, and there's a lot of positive love coming towards you from the people that you've encountered and shared things with over your life and over your time. And that it's worth looking at yourself again, and that comes back to the energy of the dugong too, appearances. Looking at yourself again in a different way, because you haven't actually been seeing yourself in truth. And I really feel the energy around this not seeing yourself is not that you haven't seen yourself truthfully in, you know, ways where you might have done something wrong or anything like that. I feel like you see yourself too much as somebody who is either not worthy of people's affection, or, you know, you've shied away from the beautiful soul that you are, and you're being asked to really see that self, really see the beautiful self. You know, stop looking at the things that you think are wrong, because that's not where your path is heading. This is a time now to really look and see yourself as a beautiful soul. Look at the things you have achieved. Look at the people that you've affected in a positive way in your life. Look at the people who have affected you in a positive way in your life. These are the things you're not seeing. These are the things you need to go inward and rediscover for yourself. Okay. Now, for those of you picking number 1, a couple of these are very obvious, especially with the father healing. If there are wounds there connected to your father, it is really time now to start looking at them and healing them, or finally letting them go. This energy is not going to serve you anymore. And it's possible to move on. It's possible to move on and be whole. These are the things that come through. Obviously, this is, you know, sometimes the messages come through really straightforward, and I feel like for you guys who've chosen number 1 today, really have a look at that energy. Really have a look at anything that you might not have healed yet. If you've been working on this for a long time, maybe there's something that's still not quite shifting. Maybe there's something that still hasn't quite moved in that area for you, and so it's time to revisit that again. And you know, some of you will be sitting there going, oh yeah, but I've been working on this for years and it hasn't shifted yet. And I say to you, it's because you haven't gotten to that bedrock yet. You haven't found the very, very origin point of that that negative energy, that negative space, those wounds. You haven't found the original wound. Or maybe it's simply a case of it could be time to reopen that door for some of you as well. But definitely very, very straightforward message there. The father healing is very important. In order for you to break some of these shackles and really, really move forward with your life and with the big, big dreams that you've had for yourself. You know, you people at number 1, I really do get that the energy of somebody who is either going to be running their own business, if you're not already, or really in control of your life. Really, you are going to be the one steering the ship moving forward. This is all going to be on you. This is bringing that manifestation into consciousness. That's bringing shadow into consciousness. It's becoming the whole self. And those dreams that you thought you'd never achieve, you will achieve them. They will come forward. They will come to fruition. Once you step away, this is all old energy now. This is all old energy. It's really, really time to start moving forward. It's really, really, really time to release what no longer serves you. Get creative. Connect with yourself. Connect with the depth of your own heart. Really look at yourself. Really see the beauty that is there. And open your heart up to these dreams that you've had for yourself again, because there is a doorway for you to walk through there. And once you let go of the idea of connecting to those old energies, connecting to that like energy, let it all go. Just leave it in the past now. Now I feel like I do need to pull just one more card for pile number 1, so I'm just reaching down and whatever comes forward. Okay, last message from Spirit for you today is this: you are out of your comfort zone. All of these new energies, this new self is going to feel very alien to you. But you need to go with it, because that's the point. You're not who you were anymore. You're not quite who you're going to be yet, but you're definitely not who you were anymore. And so get comfortable with being uncomfortable. All right, we're going to move on to number 2. Okay, pile number 2. So we've got the sea anemones and boundaries. So pile number 2, already we're seeing an energy around reaffirming your boundaries. I'm seeing psychic protection as well. For those of you who might not know what psychic protection is, this is where we create energy around ourselves to protect us from other people's energies and other people's, negative thoughts towards us, and other things that might pull on our energy in a negative way. But also, it could also be a case of setting clear boundaries at work, or setting clear boundaries with people who have disrespected you. There's a level of finding your voice here with this energy as well. So we're going to lay out the rest of these, and then we're going to pull out the tarot deck as well. And I'm getting 5 with this again. I'm getting 5 cards with this again. So we'll pull 5 tarot cards as well. Okay, first off, out of the bat, there's a big money focus here for you. Pile number 2. I feel like a lot of the energy that's around you is all to do with finances, and it's interesting. When I'm sitting here doing my readings, and the things that come out of my mouth, one of the first things that came out of my mouth was setting the boundaries with work. And I feel like for you, pile number 2, this is going to be a big theme throughout this reading, of setting the right kind of boundaries. It feels like very much a work-life balance issue, where you are, there's time being taken away from you. There's high expectations of you in your workplace. And I do feel like there's a lot here about you're going to need to stand up for yourself. If this hasn't already occurred for you, there's going to be a time coming up where you're going to need to advocate for yourself. In fact, you're being put in that specific energy in order to learn how to do that effectively for yourself. Very much so. This is what's going to be coming up for you here. Okay, we've got your Ace of Swords, which is, that itself creates a solid boundary. Swords often relate to They do contain a lot of shadow energy, swords, the sword suit, and they often talk about, the not so more pleasant things in our lives that we need to pass through and we need to go through. But then we've got straight up 3 Pentacles, and the Queen is right here. So with that Queen, the Queen of Pentacles is very wise, very strong, very grounded in her energy. And I feel like, because we've also got the Strength card here, this is about you stepping into that power of actually setting those boundaries for yourself, actually advocating for yourself, respecting yourself, and speaking about what your limitations are. We're only a single individual, each of us. We're only single individuals. There's only so much any of us can give, on any given day. And oftentimes, especially those of us who are givers, tend to end up as doormats, because we don't know when to say no. And for you, pile number 2, this is a time coming up for you where you're required to say no, and you're required to stand by your convictions and really advocate for yourself in this situation. That's really the strong energy coming out of this reading today, is about advocating for yourself, backing yourself up, standing in your power, standing in your energy, and saying, no, this is what I need. This is what I need you to give me. Okay, so this is really about advocating for ourselves, because right now, and I love the Two of Pentacles in this deck, because it's that yin and yang. Things are out of balance. And look, I really do feel like this is work-life balance for you at group number 2, darlings. Really about your work-life balance, really about how much you're being asked. It's not even a case of, oh, you know, I love doing it, I love my job. You can love your job and still be working way too hard. And this is really what it is. There's things you're missing out on in your life. There are experiences that are being taken away from you from this. And this is because, and I'm getting really toxic energy too, that's coming through for me right now as well. And I know this is an open reading and a universal reading. So whoever, all of you who have chosen the pile number 2 today, I feel that toxic energy around you. I feel that toxic workspace energy, and I really do feel for the people at number 2, it might be time about thinking about moving on, and, you know, pursuing something different for yourself. I feel like a lot of the people who have picked number 2 today too might be stuck in something that they never wanted to do in the first place. And so this is your catalyst. This is your crunch time to start making that decision about what that future is going to look like for you. Rest. Yeah, look, ties in with it perfectly. You're not taking care of yourself enough. There's not enough time for you at the moment, and this is something that you need to start giving a priority, because I feel like the people in number 2, group number 2 today, you're going to reach burnout pretty soon if you don't pay attention and start advocating for yourself and advocating for your needs. It's interesting because the first pile also had a Lover's card in through the tarot deck pop forward, so it's interesting that seems to be a connecting theme throughout these readings today. But again, reclaiming authenticity, reclaiming for yourself, advocating for yourself. You know, the story, as I said, these readings were for Monet, so as the story goes around, the Selkies basically, they could shapeshift and they could come to shore, and if somebody managed to steal her skin, her seal skin, they would be able to keep her trapped. And this really fits that energy of that work-life balance. They've stolen your seal skin. You've got to go take it back. You've got to grab that. You've got to take your life back from whoever's draining this from you at the moment. And if it's family, as I said, the energy around this really gives off really big work vibes. But if it's also relating to family for you as well, because often family can be our captors, then it's really about rethinking our relationship dynamics there, even with friends as well. Like I said, it's a really heavy work vibe, but this can relate to any part of your life. It can relate to all your relationships and where you need to cry for your own advocacy. And with this, the falling in love card again for the people here at number 2, I get a real connection with the energy around this, and what's come through in this group of cards is it's the falling in love. I mean, if you're single, yeah, it's coming. Don't worry, but I feel the energy around this one particularly is more about falling in love with the self, loving the self, advocating for the self, being the person you need somebody to be in your life, basically. The person who will advocate for you, the person who will stand up for you and have your back, have your own back here, right? This is something that you need to do for you. Stardust Angel, this is universal energy backing you up. You know, we often get especially if you're looking at a decision of leaving your current job or leaving your current employment, you know, we worry, especially when we've got nothing lined up to go to. But there's a real sense here that there's an urgency around this. There's an urgency around getting you away from this energy and getting you into a new space. And this is about spirit backing you up. This is about understanding that there is energy around you that's assisting you. There is energy around you that's supporting you, even if you can't see it, even if you can't necessarily feel it. It is there. It's there waiting to help you. You just need to make the decisions. You just need to decide for yourself that it's what you want to do. Yep, and coming back to this as well, let yourself receive. Again, regardless of the level of support or community we have around us, each of us are effectively individually, without wanting to sound dire, I guess, we are alone. We are individually alone. Nobody can know exactly what we're feeling as an individual. Nobody can actually fully understand us except for ourselves. Because nobody else is walking our path, nobody else is walking in our shoes. But I feel like especially for group number 2 here, and again, that work-life balance, the inability to give yourself time for things that you enjoy, it's cutting off that connection with people, and it's about reconnecting with the people in your life, but also letting yourself receive from them, letting yourself receive their love, letting yourself receive their energy, letting yourself receive their support, because they are there for you. We carry a lot of guilt and shame when we lose contact with somebody for a time, because it's, you're like, oh, I don't want to just get in contact and say, hey, can you do this for me when I haven't spoken to them for ages? And that's fair enough too. But it's just making that initial contact to bring yourself out of isolation, to actually connect with the people around you who care about you, is that first step to receiving help, to receiving love, to receiving the nurturing and support that is everybody's by birthright. Healing heart, creating that energy around you, creating that community around you again, getting that social connection happening again, reaching out to friends, reaching out to people who care about you, is going to be healing for your heart, is going to have that connection going. And again, I'm actually coming back to this again now. My attention's being brought back to this now, with returning to that social circle, connecting with that social circle again. Again, if you are single watching this is where that connection is going to form. That's where you're going to, divine timing bump into that person, is through your friends, is through your social life, is through healing that heart by being in that space with friends, having people who do truly care about you around you, and letting them into your heart again, letting them into that space again. Okay. I'm feeling one more card for pile number 2. Yeah, coming back to this loneliness, there's a loneliness because of that isolation, because you've had to isolate yourself because you've been so consumed. You've had to give so much energy in one area. It's taken so much energy away from other areas in your life. It's time for you to again connect again. That yearning, that desire for connection is because you've isolated yourself, is because you haven't been connecting. Okay, now moving on to number 3. Okay, and here we are, pile number 3. If you've stuck around, well, hopefully you won't have had to have stuck around. I'm hoping to have put timestamps at each reading so you can just go straight into it. But yes, if you find yourself here at number 3, finally we're here. And what's the main theme for you today? The main theme for you today is healing. You're going to come into a space of a lot of healing over the coming months, days, weeks. Some of you it'll be quicker, some of you it'll be longer, but your theme today is healing. I don't want to turn that one over just yet. We'll come back to that. Turn those back over in a minute. And again, I'm feeling 5 tarot cards for this one. I love it when they jump out, because it really tells me that that's when it's time to stop shuffling, put them down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so pile number 3, your theme today, your big theme today is healing. And I accidentally turned that one over. I wasn't going to turn that one over until we had the tarot cards out, but I don't think that's an accident. Like, especially when I do this work, none of it's an accident really, but sometimes you kind of don't think things are going as smoothly as they are until later on. And that might even be part of the message for you today, group number 3. All right, 5 of Pentacles. I don't read them upside down. For those of you watching who might be familiar with tarot and reversed cards, I don't read cards upside down. I don't read them reversed. I've been doing this a very long time. I don't need to see them reversed. For those of you who might not be familiar, usually if a tarot card ends up reversed, it's often meant to be the opposite, the direct opposite of the positive meaning. So the upright meaning is your positive, and the reversed meaning is meant to be the flip side of that coin, the not so positive energies around that meaning. But I don't find that's useful for me anymore. It's something I did at the start of my journey. I would read the reverse cards. I think it did help me develop my abilities a little bit, but now that I've been doing this for a long time, I don't feel a need. If there's a shadow energy, that's what I should call it, more than negative energy, because that's not right. It's really about shadows and light. If it's a shadow, if there is a shadow energy connected to it, it will come forward for me anyway. And so I don't tend to worry about reversed cards. Plus, it's a lot easier to delve into the energy when they're upright. Okay. Again, there's a lot of Pentacles energy here, so there's a lot of money here again, but we've also got some Wands energy connecting with that. And this is, I feel like for those of you in group number 3, the strong energy that first is coming forward as I'm looking at these cards in front of me is that you are on your journey, you are on your healing journey. And I feel like the reason for the Pentacles is for you, yeah, look at the imagery here with the 5 of Pentacles. The covered face. It's finances that are actually currently a bit of a roadblock for you in terms of healing, in terms of seeking that healing, seeking that. And I feel like for those of you who have come here on number 3, chosen number 3, pile number 3 today, is that you are right in the guts of it, or if not in the very guts of it, at the very beginning of it. I don't feel like those of you who have picked number 3 are coming close to the end. This reading is definitely feels like it's for people who are either at the very beginning of their healing journey or somewhere along the middle. And, you know, it's for you, it's been about discovering different ways of healing, different types of healing. Like I feel like for some of you that are viewing this today, you've just discovered, you know, you might have just discovered what Reiki is, or kinesiology, or any of those modalities. You know, and again, for all of you, I feel like there is a roadblock around financial, you know, being able to financially support that healing journey. And so first of all, the big message, especially with the Wands in it, as you can see, we've got the High Priestess there as well. They're kind of, Spirit's kind of asking you to forget about the money side of things. One of the things I know for a fact, and you know, with a lot of healers who are genuinely what they say they are, if you mention to them that it's going to be hard, they'll work something out with you for sure. In fact, most of us do, you know, because we understand what financial struggle is like, and we understand the need for some of these modalities to help remove the blocks that cause that financial struggle. And this is that loop, right? This is that circle, that loop. Well, I don't have the money to pay for it, so I won't go and get it done. But not getting it done means I still have that energetic block for the actual financial side of things. So it just becomes a backward and forth, backward and forth. But with the Wands energy that's jumping out at me here, there's going to be opportunities for you, especially in the coming months, for you to charge forward with this, like really charge forward with this and really move some stuff. And it's not to forget too that there are things we can do for ourselves without the aid of others. Others really can't do the work for us. They can only give us the tools in order for us to do the work ourselves. And I feel like for some of you viewing this today, some of you seeing this reading today, it's about actually recognizing what you can do for yourself in the meantime, what tools you do have to work with, and revisit those. Because, you know, as somebody who knows the work very well, it doesn't actually end. You know, these tools that we gain along the way in our journey are there to support us and assist us, not just to shift the energy initially, but to actually continue supporting us and assisting us as our vibration raises as a result of the healing work. I don't know if I mentioned this in the intro or if I mentioned the first block of reading today, but, you know, energetic protection, shielding ourselves, that's a tool that most of us, once we learn it, should actually be using every day. You know, it's not a case of, well, you know, this stuff is there to fix and heal things, and yeah, it is, but it's also there to nurture and support you on the pathway moving forward. And I feel like that's where this eternity energy connects with that as well. Okay, telepathy and vulnerability, non-verbal communication, energetic pulses, mind reading, open your heart, allow yourself to be tender. Yeah, look, there is going to be, as a part of healing, you know, a time to start letting people in, but also as we go through that healing, especially spiritual side of healing, we find that we're able to read people's energy, if not necessarily their thoughts. Although some of you will find that you're able to do that too. Not just necessarily their thoughts, but a person's energy as well. You start picking up on that more, you start being more sensitive to that, and that actually leads to you being energetically vulnerable. But now is not a time to shut people out. That's not to say don't protect yourself. Again, I've already mentioned protection during the course of this reading, this end reading. Number 3. So I feel like that is a part of the message there for you today as well. Look at protecting yourself during this time of vulnerability, because you are transitioning. Healing work is a transition. It's taking you from an old way of being to a new way of being. You cannot be the same once you take this pathway through healing. You will not come out the same person. You'll come out different. Better or worse doesn't really factor in. It's that you come out different. And look, obviously, being that we're healed, we obviously want that to be better. And for the most part, it will be better, but it's not about better or worse, because we don't look at our former self as worse than our current self. That's not a language we like to use, because it's not about worse or better. It's about evolving. It's about always reaching and connecting with authentic self and putting that authentic self into the world. As I said at the start of this, when I pulled those tarot cards, I feel like the people who have picked up on number 3 today, the people who have joined me in number 3 today, are very much either at the beginning or the middle of their journey. There is still a long way to go. There's a long way to travel still, my loves. But that doesn't mean that what you have done thus far isn't or hasn't been worth it, or hasn't worked, or hasn't done anything. That's not what that means. It just means that, yep, you've come a long way, but there's still a lot to do. There's still a big chunk of the journey yet to go. And you can jump over these hurdles. You can get over those roadblocks. It's interesting because I really got a self-employment vibe from group number 1 today, and it's funny that this card has popped out in group number 3 today. The self-employment card. It might be that some of you here at number 3 today have been called in, into doing healing work, and the roadblock for you today is being able to support yourself financially. And again, I come back to trusting in spirit, trusting in moving forward with this, because there is success there. And yes, protect your vulnerabilities, but there are energies around you that are going to support you through this work and push you forward and move you forward. Time to move on. Again, people in this part of the healing journey, this is, I feel like, one of the because we often have several points where we're being asked to let go, and we'll come back to that again, and it's like, oh, but I thought I already let this go. No, you haven't. Keep letting it go. Keep letting it go. Time to move on. Time to release the past. Time to let it all go. Leave it behind you. It does not serve you anymore. That's a part of the healing journey. Recognizing ourselves and who we are when we've moved on from something traumatic, or when we've moved on from something that's wounded us, can be very daunting, because we don't recognize ourselves again. Like I said, you don't go through this journey and come out the same person you were before. You come out changed. That's the whole point. You're not meant to be the same. You're meant to change. You're meant to evolve. You're meant to grow as a person, as a human. And so it's time to move on from all those things that have been holding you back. It's just really, really time to move forward. All right. I'm getting one more card for the peeps at number 3. Positive energy. Keep moving forward in the ways that you have been. It may have been a long road so far, and it may be, hard some days to retain that positive energy within ourselves, but that's what's going to help you move forward. That's what's going to help you with this healing journey. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that you've gotten the messages that you've come here for to receive, and stay blessed, stay well, take care of yourselves.